Welcome to the Turks and Caicos. My name is Eney Jones and I am at the Royal West Indies Resort on beautiful Grace Bay, which travel advisors have ranked the #1 most beautiful beach in the world. And I'm here for the Race for the Conch Eco Swim. This swim is held the first weekend in July every year, and I hope you'll join me. Right now, I'd like to give you some tips and some tricks for open water swimming. Preparation. One of the best ways to have a good open water swim is to prepare. There's a story about cutting down a tree that says to cut down a tree, you should spend more time sharpening your saw rather than cutting. The same is true for open water swimming. When you pick a race or an event, talk to people, look at the internet, and try to find something that really feeds your soul. The Race for the Conch in this place, the Turks and Caicos, does that for me. When you're doing an open water swim and going into the water, you want to work on the entry. Today we'll look at entering as a stingray shuffle, shuffling your feet so you're not going to step on a stingray or a shell, and learning how to dolphin dive. When you're deep enough to push off the bottom, dive up and go forward. And also when you're exiting a swim, you want to learn how to go from a fish to an amphibian and learn how to come up on shore. We'll be working on those 3 things. Relaxing. One of the best tips I can give you in open water is to relax, and you do this through your breath. There's 2 things you need to do in open water. You need to breathe in and you need to breathe out. There's different ways to breathe in swimming, but in open water swimming, it's better to breathe earlier rather than later. So when your arm enters, if you're a right-sided breather, breathe a little bit earlier and be done at the side. That way you can incorporate your sighting into the breath. So when your hand goes in, angle your head, keep it neutral, and breathe to the side. And we'll learn today also how to alligator breathe and how to pirate breathe. This way you won't have to stop to sight. You'll keep the integrity of the shoulder using your lat, because if you breathe too late in your stroke, your shoulder flattens out and you're not able to use your lat. Posture. One of the best ways to have a good open water swim is to watch your posture. They found the superhero stance when you lift your chest, stretch you through your diaphragm. If you stand like this for 2 minutes, it increases your testosterone and lowers your cortisol. It seems counterintuitive because when we lie down in swimming, we place our head, we think, we collapse here, but to stay open and lifted allows you to be higher in the water. And water's 800 times denser than air, so the higher you can be, the easier it is. Sometimes people say if I lift from here, my legs sink, and they do if you swim like you've had an epidural. But if you engage your core, then you're able to kick back and lift up. And we'll talk about that soon. Number 4. There's 4 phases of the stroke that I talk about. The first is the catch, which is the entry into the water. The second is the power phase, which starts at your shoulder. The third is the propulsion phase, the finish. And the 4th is the return or the recovery. There's a bit of a difference between the catch in open water swimming and a catch in a pool. In a pool, you can reach out and glide out, but in the water, in the open seas, the water's moving and the air's moving, so you actually want to catch a little bit deeper while you're still reaching to get to that still water. The power phase. The power phase starts at the shoulder. I say open water swimming is like surf paddling and salsa dancing. When you get to the shoulder, you want everything to line up, the happy family, the mother, the dad, the kid. It's full oar. You don't want to be leading with that elbow, you want the full oar. So that's the power phase, you get into the lat. The propulsion phase is the finishing part of your stroke. In longer distances, you actually can have more length in the back. In a sprint stroke, you really want that length in the front, but in the open water, you want it in the back. So in this propulsion phase, I'm going to teach you a navel swivel. You keep your shoulders and your sternum solid, the T solid, and your navel swivels right to left. When this happens, it gets the hips out of the way and gives you more finish in the back. It also keeps your legs a little bit higher. So if you were a dancer, it's like an arabesque. You kick up and open, and it gets you to finish. The return part of the stroke, some people call it the recovery, but the best place to make up time is actually through the air. So the difference is water and air. Water is 800 times denser than air. So if you go faster through the air, it's easier and it helps you hold your line because you come forward and down. One of the ways I teach that is with conch shells, because there's more surface area in our forearms, but proprioceptively we think our hands are really important. But if you hold a conch shell in your hand, it fills up underneath, and you can be very deliberate underneath, and it drains through the air so you can be faster through the air. How does this help you hold your line? It helps you hold your line because you always have one oar in the water and you're faster coming up. You're not flat. You're actually right to left, left to right. It's a cross connection. It's almost like you have a kayak paddle from the right to the left. So talking about split tempo, which is a term I've trademarked myself, it's really great to find some shells, because with the shells they be deliberate underneath and they'll drain naturally through the air, so you'll start to feel that difference of tempo. Sometimes it almost looks like a gallop, because the reason horses gallop is it's easy recovery. You want the fastest easy recovery you can have, so really let go through the air and then re-engage underneath. Clearing your mind. One of the best things to do in open water swimming is to have a clear mind. And whether you do that by a song, by a mantra, by a good thought, find the way that you can clear your mind. Most of us live either through inspiration or memory. And you really want to live through inspiration, because if you're living through memory, you think, oh, I had a bad swim or I had a good swim. You really just want to swim. So you need to clear your mind and work with the ways that you can best do that. And this leads us right into the next one, rebooting. When you're working on your computer, inevitably you have to reboot. So something is going to happen in open water that's not going to go well. Rarely is everything perfect. So it's not like you want to control everything. You can't control it, but you can't control yourself. So how do you reboot? And once again, that could be a phrase, it could be a thought, it could be a stop and go, and to find that way that you can reboot. And the last one that I'll get to, and sometimes for adults, it's the hardest one for us to do. It's having fun. Remember that this isn't something you have to do. You get to do this. And so it's a celebration of you. So always remember why you're doing this and to have fun doing it. A few more tips that I can give you. Sometimes you're swimming into the sun in open water, and you've seen the football players with the dark lines under their face. I actually do like colored zinc because it helps with the reflection. I can tell where I put sunscreen on, and really when I'm swimming into the sun, I like it. There's a few brands that I like. This is Caribbean Breeze, and there's also a company out of California called Avasol, and this is actually zinc, but it's skin tone based, so you can go dark, you can go light, you don't have the white. I'm also a big believer in chapstick in open water because your skin is the biggest absorber, and sometimes people get a stomach ache swimming in salt water. So I put chapstick not only on my lips, but on the inside of my cheeks a little bit to prevent some of the salt from getting in my mouth. And I also put it on my feet sometimes, so if somebody touches my feet in open water, they slip off. One of the last tips I can give you is some of the newer goggles sink. So if you have any corks available, sometimes it's nice to put a cork on the back of your goggles. So if a wave knocks your goggles off or your goggle falls off, it floats and you can find it. Thank you. I'm Eney Jones, and I'll see you at the Race for the Conch in the Turks and Caicos.
My name is Ben Stubenberg, and I moved down here to the Turks and Caicos Islands 7 years ago, very much to enjoy and swim in this beautiful water every single day. It's my passion, and if there's anything I was going to say that I like most about the many, many things about open water swimming, of course there's the freedom, there's the exercise, you know, there's that sense of accomplishment. But I think above all, when you swim in a group of people in the open water and you're done with that swim, you all have this kind of shared feeling that you just finished an adventure. And for me, that's probably the highlight of it all. Thank you, Eney Jones, for coming down and doing this for us. I hugely appreciate it. We have much to learn. So, thanks so much.